Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to do a little basic maintenance on our Onan 5500 generator. It's in our 2006 model coach here. It's due for an oil change, and we're going to do it ourselves rather than drop it off at the RV place and have them do it. Not so much of the expense, but they are going to charge you a little bit of money to do this, but it's just a convenience. You know, dropping it off, have someone bring you home and then go back and get it and all that. You can do all this for about $50, and there's no reason why you can't. Just need some basic tools, order up your parts, and you'll be ready to go. So the first thing we're going to need to do is get the model number off of our unit, and you're going to find that on this little label right here. So when you call up your local Onan dealer, in our area it's the guys that handle Cummins, you're going to give them this model number here, 5.5 HGJAB-1038D. Now the important part of this, say if you're ordering your parts online, is going to be the HGJAB. Which model do you have? It might say -LP at the end if you're running off of LP, and your parts might be a little different. So make note of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to order up an air filter, an oil filter, a fuel filter, go get a couple quarts of oil, and a couple spark plugs, and get started. So let me show you what we got. I pulled the cover off here real quick, and if you'll see here, I'm lucky I've got a label that you can still read. Service information tells your air filter, clean every 150 hours, or replace every 450. Oil and oil filter change at 150 hours or annually, whichever comes first. And more often in dusty conditions, it'll tell you your air filter part number there, a 140-3116, your oil filter part number 122-0836, and it's going to be 2 quarts with the oil filter. Now here's the different temperatures and the recommended viscosity of oil we're going to get. We're going to be using just some Castrol 10W40. This is a synthetic blend. Whichever oil you want to use is fine, synthetic, non-synthetic, regular blend, it just doesn't matter, and that's right out of the mouth of a Shell engineer. So main thing is that you change it regularly and take good care of it. So if you get those parts all ordered up, if you don't know what you need, you can go to Google and just put in your Onan HGJAB parts list, and it'll tell you, it's about a 40-page document, and it'll tell you all these different part numbers that you can need, and you'll be able to order them from there. I just ordered original Onan parts this first time because I wanted to see them, see how they're marked. And for instance, the oil filter here, I've cross-referenced it already over to a Fram filter, so if I'm out of town or something like that, it'll be a lot easier for me to go into an auto parts store and get the Fram part number. Air filter is going to be right behind here. Just pop this off. Pull it out. Take my rag and I'm going to clean that off. Make sure I don't see any debris or anything weird. And then just pop the new one right back in. We'll leave that off for now. Your oil filter is right under here, and it's accessed from the bottom. Right here is the oil filter petcock at the drain, and it's going to drain out the bottom. Your spark plugs are located one on each side, one here and one over there. So once you get all your parts ready, you're going to be ready to go. First thing I do is I let the generator run for a couple minutes, let that oil kind of circulate, thin up just a little bit. It tends to drain a little better when you do that. So let me get that started, and then we'll go from there. The first thing we're going to do is drain the oil. The reason I want to do that first is because it's going to take a little while for it to drain, and I can get all my other stuff gathered up and ready to go. I'm going to do the oil filter first, and it's located at the bottom. It is generally hand tightened, and it is. Get your pan right underneath here and get it ready to go. And here it comes. Make sure you have some rags ready. There we go. The next thing we're going to do is open the petcock over here for the oil drain. They can drain side by side. It drains out the bottom as well. Tell you what, that oil looks a little darker than I expected it to. When we bought the coach about a month and a half ago, the dealer was kind enough to change the oil and filter in the generator and in the coach. And we just got back from a 1,700-mile journey, and we probably ran the generator between 30 and 40 hours. And I wanted to get back home, change the fluids myself. Okay, this is a Wix part number. I'll make note of that in addition to the Fram part number. And that way, if I'm in a town somewhere and I need to get it, I can use that part number as well. I'm going to crack open the top of the oil filter, or the oil fill, give it a little breathing room. Maybe it'll vent a little better and drain a little quicker. So while we're doing that, let's get all our parts gathered up. We're not going to need a whole bunch of specialty tools for this. To change the spark plugs, looks like we're going to need maybe a couple different lengths of extension. You're going to need a 13th, 16th spark plug socket. You might need this to get around the corner on your extension. Not sure, we'll have to see. We've got our new oil filter, got a couple quarts of 10W40. This is a synthetic blend. Like I said, use the oil that you want, not a big deal. Regular oil is about $1 cheaper than this. Synthetic is about $2 more quart. So it's really not that big of an expense. You're only talking about 2 quarts. We've got our new Onan fuel filter, air filter, and we're going to be ready to go as soon as this oil starts to finish draining off. Now, one thing you want to do when you're changing an oil filter, don't just screw this thing on like this. For one thing, you want to fill it up with oil. Doesn't have to be all the way to the top, but pretty close to the top, and then put some oil around the top of this seal here. If you don't, there goes the motorcycle. If you don't put some oil around this seal up here, it will just about weld to the bottom of the generator, to this to the aluminum body at the bottom, and it is hell to get off. So make sure you lube that up before you put it on. If you'll notice, I brought out a little step stool or something to put the drain pan on. When it starts trickling like that and you start getting thin streams, you get a little bit of wind, it starts blowing it all over. It might even blow it back on you. So just try to get it up close like that. And while this thing is draining, I'm in no hurry for it. We're going to go ahead and try to change some spark plugs. So let's get started, and we'll do this one first. We're going to take the right side spark plug out first. As anticipated, I knew I was going to need an extension and this swivel to get in here. It's a pretty tight fit. Now, this isn't something you're going to have to do all the time. Matter of fact, this will probably be the last time it's ever done on this. And but I wanted to know where we stood and get a fresh start, and so I wanted to go ahead and change the plugs. Like I said, it'll probably never have to be done again. But I'm kind of anxious to see what they look like. This one's a little harder to get to than the other ones. The other one, I should say. But it'll be well worth the trouble. Okay, we got it out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the original spark plug. Not too bad, but a new one's going to be much more better. So let's get the new one put in. Okay, just about there. Tighten her up. Don't want to over tighten this too much. going to need a swivel on your extension to get to that, just so you know. Not much room in here, but if you hold your tongue just right, you'll get it right back on there. Okay, good and tight. Looks like our oil is just about drained out, so I think we'll go ahead and put the filter back on next. As I stated earlier, you want to make sure that you fill this oil filter up. Doesn't have to be gushing out of the top, but if you don't do this when you start the generator, and this is true of a lawnmower or anything like this with a screw-on filter, it has to run a while to get the oil circulating through the filter. And so your engine's going to go for a little bit without any lubrication, and you don't want that. Then just get a little bit of oil here. Make sure you get it on this rubber seal here on the top, because when you tighten that down, if it doesn't have oil on it, you're going to have hell getting it off the next time. Go right back up here. Screws right back on. One other thing you can do, if you've got a magic marker, say yellow or white, like I do on my tractors, I forgot to do here, I mark the hours and the date that I changed that. Okay, we got the oil filter back on there. Now we're gonna tighten up the petcock here. So no more oil drains out. I like to give it just a little snug with some pliers, nothing too crazy. And now, making sure there's not any dirt right around there. Then we're going to put our oil in. I feel pretty confident in my abilities to pour this in here. And we're going to put 2 quarts in. Okay, my buddy here has got 2 brand new quarts of 10W40 synthetic blend. It's going to be a happy engine. We've got 2 new spark plugs in. Now let's move to the underneath here and let's change that fuel filter. All right, before we go underneath, forgot, almost, we got 1 more spark plug to put in. Also, when you get your spark plugs, make sure you check that spark plug gap. The gap on this particular plug on this motor is 0.025 inches, so you want to make sure that that gap is correct. It was way off on both of these spark plugs I got, so it is something important you do need to check. So we're going to put that in now, and then we're going to go underneath. Okay folks, what we're looking at here is the fuel filter. It's right there, held on by a hose clamp, very corroded. So we're going to change that, unscrew this, and we're going to screw the new one in. So let's grab a couple tools and some safety glasses in case that gas decides to go anywhere. Now doesn't that look so much better? Got a brand new Onan fuel filter there. I even put a new hose clamp on there. I did take my Sharpie and put the hours on here that we changed it at and the date, so we'll know next time. So let's crank this little thing up and listen to her purr. Okay, we're just going to slap the fuel or the air filter back on here. Cover. Come on, fella. There we go. And let's start her up. Inspect for leaks. Fuel filter's not leaking. No oil leaks down here. Check the level. Oil. And it is perfect. Now these things have a safety switch on it. They run low on oil and they will shut down. So if yours just shuts down unexpectedly, first thing you want to do is check the oil. So there you have it, folks. We changed, let's see. Here's the fuel filter that came off that puppy, by the way. Do you think that might be the original one? Looks pretty ugly. And I'm pretty sure spark plugs were too. So that's just some basic maintenance that you can do. At the very minimum, you can change the air filter, the oil, and the oil filter, you know, in about 15 minutes. Not a big deal, and you need absolutely no tools. Want to go a step further? Spark plugs have never been changed on your generator, or you don't know if they've ever been changed, go ahead and change them. You know, it's going to cost you another 9 or 10 bucks to do that, and then you know what you got. Fuel filter the same way. I mean, this is a happy generator right now, and I guarantee you, if you do these minor maintenance things on yours, yours will be happy too. Just for grins, call up your local RV maintenance center. Ask them how much they charge to do oil filter change, fuel filter, air filter, and spark plug change, and then see if your $50 was well spent. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So until next time, you guys be safe, do some of this stuff yourself, save some money, and we'll see you down the road. Adios.